Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Pranzata Podcast. This is your host, Andrea Pranzatelli. I have my second guest today in this studio in South Jersey. His name is John Montague. I got it correct. I always worry about that I'm going to get it wrong. He is a comedian in South Jersey. He co-hosts a podcast called Handsome Idiot Pods. We can already see he's handsome, and we're going to find out if he's an idiot too, or if that's just him being modest. He also, correct me if I'm wrong, you run shows and open mics in this area?
Yes.
Okay, so he's got a lot going on for him, and we're going to unpack that right now. I have prepared some questions. FYI, this is episode 66, and his podcast has episode 67.
Just went out today.
So it's just a weird coincidence. My first question for you is a self-awareness question. I used to ask this to my old guests, and I'm bringing it back. You're killing it way too hard in life. You've got it going on. You've got a podcast. You're always happy. You're good looking. You're in shape. You ran a marathon. So I want to know what you're bad at. I want to know what is something that you're not doing well at right now that you know you need to work on, that you're currently working on.
I'm not currently working on it, but
but you know you need to. Or
I
something
know
like
my job, like my day job.
What's your day job? Are you allowed to?
Yeah, I won't say a company, but I do sales for a company that's in like life sciences industry.
Yeah.
And I've worked from home before the pandemic started. Yeah. And I was like very productive, and it's like I hit this weird lull in like the last couple months, and it was like you said, I just ran a half marathon, so like I really like trained a lot for that.
Yeah.
And I put work at the wayside and started getting busier with comedy too. And when I say at the wayside, like I'm still working every day. I work remote, so it's like technically I'm working right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think me focusing on the thing that actually puts food on my table.
Okay.
But it's like I'm neglecting that for things that I love.
Okay.
And it's like comedy, family, and working and running.
So in a nutshell, the thing that you're bad at, quote unquote, bad at or need to work on is balancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can totally relate to that, by the way. That's like kind of the ongoing problem of my life. It's like, how do I balance all this stuff out? Like, I want to have a family one day too. Like, I want to have a career. I have to pay the bills. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But, dude, I need to work on the same thing. So have you found a system that works for you to kind of like...
Yeah, I gotta... Like, it was... Once we figured out our daughter's 2 years old, so like she goes to daycare a couple days a week. So if she's like out of the house and I have the house, it's literally just fully holding myself accountable. And it's like, I tried systems where I'm like, all right, well, as soon as you get back the first 2 hours, you're answering emails, you're working. Yeah. And then it was like, I would do that and then I wouldn't go back to it. So it was just really just, it was almost like being like, you're an adult. Like, this is getting...
I've heard some people, and I'm wondering if this is true for you. I've heard some people tell me that or not even tell me, like podcasts that I've listened to and stuff like that. I've heard them say that when they had a kid, they actually suddenly had this insane boost of productivity because it kind of just like narrowed down the window of time that they could do things.
Yes.
Did you find that?
So I had that. So my daughter's 2, and we had her like during the height of the pandemic, like the height of the lockdown. So like we
pandemic baby.
Oh yeah, like through and through. But like luckily I think she's turning out pretty cool. Like, but like we spent so much time with her, and like so all that productive energy. Yeah. It was like, even when she was napping, I was like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to rebuild this in the house. And like now that she's 2 and goes to daycare a couple days a week, or like my mom will watch her while I'm working. And, you know, now I'm like, oh, that productive energy is just kind of fizzled now. Yeah. It's still like whenever I'm around her, I'm like, we're playing, we're having fun, let's do this. And now I just get home and I'm like, oh, right, I got to work. Like this is, that's why like it is like comedy and podcasting. If it can be a career, would be so incredible.
How do you make it work, like, with having kids? Like, you have 2 kids or 1 kid?
1 kid.
You have 1 kid. How do you make it work? Does your wife kind of watch the kid normally?
Yeah, well, so, like, I do, like, throughout the week, I do the daily stuff. Like, in the morning, my wife's a teacher, so she's out the door early before she even wakes up. So it's like, I'm on wake-up duty, I'm on breakfast, I'm on take her to school duty. Because my schedule, because I work from home, allows that. So it's like, doing that keeps, like you were talking about, the balance. Like, that's what's funny. Like, we have a great balance in our house of like, all right, well, I did all this. You're going to take her for a little bit so I can go take care of something.
That's really good. Does she have any like hobby type things besides her job that she likes to do?
She does. So and we always talk about this, and she has said it before, and she's just like, I wish I had something like you have comedy or like you have podcasts. And I'm like, I know, I wish you did too, because it's something I love doing. Yeah. I want you to have something you love that much. And I think it's just a matter of she just got off having a kid. She just got a full-time job. She liked working out and, spending time with family. But it's like she hasn't, like, sat down and thought, like, oh, what would I want to do for fun?
John's wife, I teach piano lessons virtually if you want.
There you go. I always tell her she has, like, a sneaky good singing voice.
Oh, really?
But
I teach voice lessons, too.
All right. Well, we're going to hook this up.
Let's figure this out.
Because I'll catch her, like, singing to my daughter in the other room.
Yeah.
And I'll, like, mute the TV. I'm like, hold on. Like, you're just kind of nailing something. I have, like, my voice is always hoarse or raspy like this. Like,
I was going to say.
I'm always getting over a cold. I don't know what it is.
I was going to say, do you think you just talk too loud at your shows and that you wore your voice out? Or
no, this is literally just coming off of, like, bad sinus infection, cold, and it's lingering because of the season.
Gotcha.
But, like, I'll always be fine all day. And then I'll go to, I just did a show last week where I had maybe like 1 minute of voice left and I could feel it, but I had like 3 minutes of material.
By the way, just so you don't feel bad, that's not something I don't think anybody else would obsessively notice. Like his voice is hoarse because I teach voice lessons. I'm like hyper in tune with that
I
stuff.
noticed it obviously, but like at that show, a friend of mine I grew up with was there, and I walked over. I was like, honest opinion. I was like, did I sound weird? He's like, no, why? And I'm like, all right, because to me it was just like. I'm like, oh, punchlines weren't hitting because I was like, squeaking.
No, you don't sound bad, but I'm like hyper aware of like vocal stuff because I'm like constantly reading and like teaching lessons and stuff like that. And I could tell, and I couldn't tell if it was because you were sick or because you had like a show or a podcast.
No, and I think it's now becoming. I've always had like a raspy voice, but I think it's more and more like every time I get sick, it gets one more level raspy.
Worse. That's it's funny, like famous singers like Mariah Carey, Ariana Grande, all those types of like belty singers, they often have to get surgeries and like they lose their voice. It happens with comedians too and podcasters because like a lot of people don't know about healthy vocal technique and like breathing and stuff like that. So a lot of the times, like especially comedians who tend to be louder on stage, like they just like wear their voice out.
Yeah, and the problem is comedians are too like they don't take things serious enough that like
oh no
like if I ever told like my fellow comics like I think I'm losing my voice from comedy, they're like
shut the fuck up,
loser. Like
if that ever happens,
you did an open mic 2 weeks ago.
If your voice ever gets like because your colds and everything, what you need to do, and anybody else has this issue, is go on what's called active vocal rest. It's when you only use your strong like chest voice when you're on stage or whatever, and then around the house you just. Like, do you remember Michael Jackson? How?
I was just listening to a podcast today where they talked about his two voices.
Yeah, because like I never heard this, but my theory is that he was on active vocal rest because he had a killer like singing voice, and then when he talked to him, he'd be like this, and I think he was trying to preserve it.
Did you ever hear though? Like, I've heard audio played of his like almost third voice. So they say it's like his real voice, his deep and they said it would only. This is a bad thing. I get most of my info from podcasts, and it's podcasts of people I'm friends with. So
me too, yeah.
It's just me and my idiot friends passing around misinformation.
Yeah.
But it was a clip of him, and they said it would only really come out when he would argue with his dad. Because his dad didn't like accept him as the voice he was, so he would bring out that like hey, like that kind of voice.
Gotcha.
And it is jarring. Like I think it's just an audio clip though, so you're always like, is it definitely him? But it's wild if it is. Yeah, no,
it's funny. I'm the same as you. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm like learning about like science and politics through podcasts.
It's bad. Well, the bad thing is like
Joe Rogan.
Right. So it's like he's like the main culprit. Whenever I listen to it, I'm like, maybe I should look more into the cosmos. And then I watch one documentary and I'm like, all right, it is pretty cool. I'm going to bed. Like, and that's it. But yeah, I'll retain one fact from every podcast and just be like, do you guys know this was actually a fact? And it never was. Like, it always ends up being wrong or embellished. And then I'm like, oh, I'm just a moron.
Yeah.
So there's the idiot part that you were looking for.
Okay, so I have a segment here I added. I've never done this before, but I thought it would be a fun little thing to add. So I was looking up 2022 slang amongst the kids, and since you're a dad, I mean your child isn't using this slang yet, but you should know what the kids are talking about. So we're gonna see if you know, and you can't peek, what these words mean. What does cappin mean?
So this, if you do listen to Handsome Idiots, my co-host is 10 years younger than me.
Okay.
So he knows
all the
this
words.
Terminology, and I'll go to him all the time.
You're like, what does this mean?
I'm like, yo, what does it slaps mean? Like, I come in, he's like, it's good. I'm like, oh, cool. Like,
so what do you think, if you had to guess, if you don't know, what would cappin mean?
Cappin? So I did find out from him that no cap means that, I already forget it. No cap means you're serious, right? Or you're not. You're playing around.
Damn, pretty much. No, pretty much. Pretty much, you're not wrong.
So capping is you're really serious, right?
So capping means you're lying.
Okay.
So if no cap means you're serious, then capping would be. See how dumb we sound?
And it's the things that I was like, when I was 15, I'm like, Dad, how do you not get what I'm talking about? But I feel like even then it wasn't anything like crazy.
Yeah.
Now because of the internet, there's an entire new generation of slang.
Yeah. So no cap would be like no bullshit. Like I'm not
Okay.
lying. And capping would be like you're capping. Like you're full of shit. You're like okay. Next, I have 3.
Oh, okay.
Next is drip. If something
Drip's your outfit. I know that one. I
yeah,
know drip.
Drip is stylish, which I think
drip is like you're dripped out.
Sounds like an STD to me. Like I don't get that. Okay, last one. Ship.
Ship. All right. So how I would probably think of that is like people will shorten championship to chip, and like we're chasing that chip.
Okay.
No, now that I'm saying that, that's
No,
not right.
keep following it.
Okay.
You're getting there. You're hot.
So the ship. I don't know. You're dropping anchor. You're setting up for the night.
You were okay. You're not as dumb as you say you are because you were 100% on the right track. That ship is the end of another word.
Relationship.
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Yes. So you were on the right track. Not as dumb. Not as dumb as we thought.
That's so. That just angers me so much.
Yeah. So that's why does that anger you? Because it's just like laziness.
It's laziness, and it takes more to find out what it is. It's not like if you shorten something. Like a relation. If somebody said like I'm in a relation, I'd be like,
that makes
relationship.
sense. But it just sounds stupid.
So if you say ship, then I got to think more, and
Like,
me thinking more is never the answer.
Like it's like an anchor, like a boat.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like I too know nautical terms.
Well,
like,
now you know. If your younger co-host of your podcast says cappin, drip, you found out, or ship.
Yeah.
You know exactly what the deal is, and so do you guys now. Drop in the comment section if you guys know any terms like that we should know as old people, or ones that you've learned recently if you're also an old person like us. Okay, next question. You sort of touched on this a little bit, but I want to know more. You ran a half marathon in Philly.
Yes.
My question for you is, after the end of that whole experience, what do you feel you gained from it? Like if you had to convince somebody to do it, why?
I'm almost in the other boat where and it's not even anything bad. Like I've been running for a couple years now. I got really into it like during the pandemic. And I've ran my own half marathons like at home, but I would like stop home, eat like an Uncrustable, drink a Gatorade, go back out like halfway. So like this was cool to like finally do one. Yeah. I guess the thing I'll say is don't run one when it ends up being 27 degrees in Philadelphia at the start.
Okay.
Because I love running in the cold. Like that was when my wife was pregnant, she would go to bed early and I would just go out late at night, a little headlamp on to like the loop around the river by our house.
You're one of those fucking assholes.
It's so funny. I never wanted to be. I still would make fun of that person. But then it was literally when my daughter was born, I was like, oh, if I get hit by a car, that ruins more lives than just mine.
When I say one of those assholes,
I
mean like
I know I'm an asshole.
What you just said. So like, not in the sense that like, oh, they're getting up that early. I think it's very commendable that you get up that early. I mean the asshole that I'm going to accidentally hit one day.
Oh yeah.
Like, that asshole.
And that's the thing. Like, that's why I take the full responsibility. If I ever get hit, it's probably my fault because I'm not being aware enough.
Yeah.
Like I've been a couple times. I live in like the town I'm in is a grid and there's like a downtown. So it's a lot of stop and go, but it's a suburb town. So you're wide open running a lot. Yeah, you work there, so you've driven
I don't want to say it on the podcast.
Yeah, no, you've driven through it.
But
so it's like,
it's a really cute town.
And it's a great town, but it's like people that aren't from that town will edge out into the street all the time. So I've almost been hit that way a couple times, but it's like I know to look for that now.
Yeah.
So
I always wondered, like, if you were driving and you accidentally hit somebody in the shoulder, who would be at fault?
There's weird state-to-state laws I found out that it's like in one state, it's the recommended thing is to go with traffic.
Okay.
And then other states, they recommend that you go against traffic so that you're always seeing what's coming at you.
Yeah.
And I understand that too, because there are times like I run with headphones on, but they have, spatial sound that's coming in. So like I can hear a car in the background, but like Teslas, they sneak up on you. Like that's scary. There's a Tesla on my block. And luckily it hasn't been when I'm running, but like I've been raking leaves and just like scared to death of a Tesla that just snuck up the street.
And
like,
it's funny, like this is another, we were saying like we give misinformation on podcasts. Like we're like explaining the laws to people in New Jersey.
That's the thing. Have no idea. I don't even know though, because one time another comic asked me, he was like, I think in Jersey you're supposed to walk with it and PA you're supposed to walk against it. I was like, I don't know.
I don't know what it is, but that's literally my biggest nightmare. Like, my biggest fear is that I'm going to accidentally hit somebody in the shoulder.
Yeah.
I think about it all the time.
Well, that's what, like, and once you get, like, really into it, you can find, I luckily live right by, like, a river that has a huge loop, like a 3-mile loop.
Yeah.
And there's a running path and everything. So it's like, you'd have to hop the curb. But even that, like, I've seen people drive, it's a windy road, and I've seen people drive down at, like, 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So, like, I got to be alert. Like, if I see a car, keep my eyes on. But yeah, like I said, it was before I would run in like all black. I didn't care. Yeah. And then as soon as I had a kid, I'm like, I need to find the brightest orange shirts. Yeah. And it is like, it became funnier, but I don't know how we got off of the half marathon. My suggestion.
So wait, backtracking to the half marathon. So I think, unless I heard you wrong, I think what you said is that you regret it?
I don't regret it. I'm glad I did it. I didn't hit my goal, which that pissed me off because it's weird. Like, I'm not competitive anymore, but like every once in a while it'll come out of me.
Yeah.
And that was one of those days where like, I got to get, my goal was to be sub 2 hours, which is like pretty good.
Yeah.
And I got just over. I got like 2 hours and 13 minutes, which isn't terrible. I regret not planning as much.
Okay.
Like, I cramped up really bad, and I've never had that be a problem. I was on the side of the race, literally like 2 miles left. You should be able to like trick your brain into running 2 miles to get to go home. And I knotted up in like my hips, and I was on the side of the road just punching my hips because I didn't know what to do. I was like, I've never had this happen. People are looking at me, and I'm like, somebody give me a suggestion. So I kind of like hobbled my way across the finish line. And then I was just like, I'm glad I did that. I might do it again. It made me realize like, pick a better time of year where it's not freezing, but it was fun.
Was there any like lesson learned or spiritual awareness or something developed from it in that kind of way?
You do get like, it's a weird running on your own, like preparing for something like that. It's very individual. It's like your training regimen. You see some of the same people sometimes, but then like, I usually hate being in like that group of people doing a thing. Because it's so easy to make fun of it. It's like so easy to just pick out. And I understand, like I have a lot of material about how dumb running marathons is or dumb running period is.
That's good though. At least you're getting some material.
Right.
Maybe that's like, the positive thing you got out of it.
It's true. It is. I was actually mad I didn't get more. I was like, I'm going to see something hilarious. And across the finish line, I was like, nope, nothing. Like, something will come up in my brain as the more I think about it.
One thing I noticed is, this is old, okay? This is very old. This might be not PC, outdated. But when I used to do turkey trots or whatever, there was only white people there.
Oh,
it was like such a, like I'd never.
It is a very whitewashed sport.
Yes, very white.
And I don't think it's ever even like, it's never like, oh, this is pretty. It's like, it is.
Yeah. I remember looking around at those turkey trots being like, this is a lot of white people. Like,
yeah.
This is some white people shit.
With that being said, anyone I know that is African American and is a runner, it's always like, they're always incredible at it. Yeah. And that might also not be PC or something, but it's just a fact, like
is it like positive
the 5 people I know that run, like when I tell them my times, then they tell me theirs. I'm like, oh, you're very good at this.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, next question for you. Oh, I like this question. Okay. As a comedian, do you think it's more important to stay true to your brand of comedy and find a niche of people that like your comedy, or if you're not getting laughs, do you appeal more to the masses and try to figure out?
I think the main goal is to one day have your audience, because it's like, I just went and saw Big J. Okerson in Philly like right after Thanksgiving, and like that crowd there is there because it's Big J. It's not just like it's Friday night, let's go to the club. His crowd comes out. So that's how he's a very successful comic, because he gets that in every city he goes to. So it's like the grand goal is that, but it's like, if you're getting your reps in and getting better at comedy in a room of people that look like you, think like you, act like you, you're not getting better at comedy overall. Now you could just continually, I could do fire halls in suburban South Jersey and do very well for 10 minutes. But it's like, then if I get thrown into a room with, mixed races or mixed ideas, it's like a liberal room that I was just in a Republican kind of mindset. Gotcha. You're not getting good unless you're getting good in all of those settings.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Because one thing I noticed coming from North Jersey to here, I just completed a show like a couple weeks before I moved here. I've only been living here for 1 month, by the way. But like 2 weeks. Thank you. 2 weeks before I lived here, I did a show in North Jersey that I'm not bragging, but compared to what I normally do, it killed. Like, it was a really good show.
Yeah.
It was like a 10-minute set, and I was very successful there. So I did my first open mic here in Philadelphia, and I was like, I'm new here, so I'm going to start with my best set just so I can like come in with a bang and then so people know me and then try new stuff. It got crickets.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the? I was like, how? Like, I'm getting the chills like talking about it because it was just like, it was so crazy to me how it went from like killed it in North Jersey. My opening joke was about rape, like, and in New Jersey they're like, yeah, like there's and then I was like, holy shit, in Jersey, or at least North Jersey, because this is technically South Jersey, but it's like more Philly. Well, I did it in Philly.
Yeah.
We're raunchy and naughty and disgusting, and like here it's not like that here. It
is. So it's interesting. It's like you'll find it in waves. Like there are some of the most vulgar and hilarious comics are people I know that are in that Philly scene. And it is interesting. Even like the Philly scene looks as like South Jersey comedy as a totally separate thing.
Yeah.
But it is because like we're not over there every night at their open mics.
Yeah.
Now like we're good friends. Like we just did a podcast with Drew Montana and Naeem Ali from Do Rag and Deer Tiger, like one of the bigger podcasts in Philly, and we're buddies.
I know
with
Drew
them.
Montana. He was at one of the roast battles.
Yeah. They're active in everything, and it's like talking to them. They're like the only reason this is kind of getting offside, but it's like the only reason that anyone looks at it as different is like we know you guys are funny. You're just not over here all the time.
Gotcha.
So we almost have to be like reminded every time. It's like, oh yeah, they are. So, but like to get back to it, it is weird. Like when your stuff works somewhere. I started comedy in Harrisburg 5-6 years ago, and that was the same thing. Like Harrisburg is like it's middle of nowhere, so it's like you can get away with saying a lot in the idea that you're testing the water.
Yeah.
So it's like people won't jump down your throat right away. Then I moved back to South Jersey, Philly, and went to Philly shows, and I was like, oh, it isn't quite that. It can be that if you build the, recognition, and they're like, oh, that's this comic's thing. Like, so it is weird.
I guess that's why I asked the
shift.
question I asked, because I kind of had a change of like, not a change, but like, I don't know the phrase I'm looking for. Not a rude awakening to like figuring out what path I want to take. I'm like, okay, well, what's the correct decision for me to make?
Yeah.
Do I figure out how to be funny in Philly and completely change my set? Or do I keep the rape joke and just find the people in Philly who jive with like dirty jokes? Or do I find a balance where it's like, I keep the rape joke, but I calm it down a little bit?
Yeah, it's that. It could be that. It's like there are some jokes where it's like you throttle it up a little bit more, whatever you're, whatever's behind it, and you're like, oh, in this area, if I lean, like I have jokes like that. I hate both sides, but like I know I can get a laugh if I'm in, a Moose Lodge in South Jersey, where we just did that like a month ago, and it was an incredible show, but very right-leaning audience, and it's like, all right, I can either lean in and like appease them and be like, I'm gonna do jokes where you're like, that is a right-wing thing, or I can lean in and just be like the opposite, the contrarian, and be like, you guys are fucking dorks. Like, you guys are all dorks. Like, we're all, but then it's like relating it back. If I did that same thing in Philly and I go in, I'm like, you guys are fucking dorks. I look like a bully, like at some shows. So it's like finding that the joke might work different ways in different spots.
Or like you can find jokes that kind of like you find a way to make fun of everybody.
Yeah.
Like what show did that? South Park. I was just talking about this. You've seen South Park?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think they were like really good at poking fun at every single political side.
It's not punching up or down. It's just like
it's just like you're all a bunch of like
fist out spinning.
Which, by the way, I'm on board with you about like being kind of in the center politically. Like I kind of look at it like you guys are. Like you have clear, like when I say you guys are both the same, like clearly you have very different beliefs, but like you're both the same in how
your general approach at everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I was just thinking about this recently. I feel like it's like safer to talk about it now because it's like going behind us now. Like with the vaccine thing, like with the vaccines, I remember the far left was very, or I shouldn't even say the far left, the progressives. Like, I feel like they're different now. I feel like Democrats and progressives are different things now. Like, I feel like classic Democrats, like, they like Biden, and progressives hate Biden. I feel like they kind of branched off into different things. But I would say the progressives were very like, if you don't get vaccinated or you question it, you're a fucking piece of shit. And, like, I was just like, is that the way to, like is that the way to approach it? Like, you know what I mean? Because if you really truly believed that the whole population being vaccinated was the best thing to do, wouldn't it make more sense to approach it from a more gentle angle? Like, hey, I know you're afraid, but hear me out. Instead of being like, you fucking suck.
It's like, it always gets into like aggressive. Yeah. And it is funny too. It's like, I don't know. you're saying too, like the being in the middle. I think if you're not in the middle as a comic, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because it's like if you go all the way one way, unless you do it really hard and it's almost sarcastic, it's like in any issue, like I'm on the fence with everything. If someone's like coffee or tea, I'm like, I see why both are great. Like, it's.
By the way, that I feel like that's what gives comedians.
That's
it's really
what you're
hard.
there to. People come to see either an opposite opinion or a new take on whatever's going on.
I think that's why comedians have that skill of being able to break something apart and analyze it, because they're not sold on anything. Like they're constantly like skeptical of everything. Like, wait a second, what's this? And that's why they have that ability to make fun of everything. So I think
you should be, and it sucks. Like you get in that point too, where I hate it sometimes where like I'm numb to things because I'm trying to think of a funny angle. Like something bad will happen in the news and my brain will be like, that's terrible. Oh, but here's a funny, there's a good tag to a joke if I ever write it. And then like I'll talk to my wife and talk to her about like, you know, whether something like a shooting or a hurricane.
And she'll be like, that's too much.
And she's like, but she'll just be like, did you see what happened? I'm like, I know. And I'm already laughing. And I'm like, oh wait, no, you're not thinking about the funny in it. Like eventually when I'm thinking, I'll get it to be funny or I'll abandon it. Like it's like right now my closing joke is a 9/11 joke. And it's a fun one because it's like, it takes people on a walk and I love that I did it in a way where it makes both sides laugh in the end, kind of. But it's like, it was a weird thing to figure out at first. It started off me just being very vulgar and offensive. And
have you ever had someone complain to you, like say like, hey, that's over the top. That's you're pushing it too far.
I go pretty.
Or has your wife ever criticized you and said like, dude, pull
no, and well, I'm glad. I'm glad that I am married and doing jokes because it makes me have a filter to like protect my life. But there is every once in a while where you're like, this is a funny thought. If I said this would get great laughs. But I'd go home and I'd be like, I'm sleeping in my car for a week. You know, it's not anything like super bad, but my act's very vanilla. Like a lot of my material is being a dad during the pandemic in your 30s. Like if you had to sum it up.
But it's relatable. Like,
right.
There's probably a lot of dads in their 30s.
So that's, and that was kind of going, that was what I was trying to bring up earlier, was like you were comparing a show performance to an open mic too. So you got to always remember that. Like
in hindsight, like I was like heartbroken. Like my ego was shattered. I was like, everything I thought I was just a lie. Like I thought I was.
It is a kick in the gut. Yeah.
But so I went to another open mic that was a lot different, and then I did weigh out all the factors. Okay, I was like, one, this open mic, the first one where I just totally bombed was like, it was after a show. So it was like a late night. Right, you know how they have a show and then a mic. So everyone's already tired. They've seen the show. So that was one. Two, I was like really tired because I'm a morning person. I'm not a night person, which kind of sucks as like as a
any performing
comedian,
artist.
Musician. Like I have to have energy at night. I do well when it's like a 7 or 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock show.
We just got to start an early morning comedy scene.
Oh my god,
I'd be on board.
We would just have to say jokes for like senior citizens or like whatever. But
which I think
are you a morning person too?
I'm up and down. I did a long stretch of like waking up at 5 a.m.
to do your running thing.
It was running, or like if it was a rest day, it was like doing whatever I had to get done before the rest of the family woke up. And now that it got cold, I am like stay in as long as I can, hoodie on, sweatpants, under a big comforter. Like
no, I'm like such a morning person. No matter how hard I try to do, like I get up. My boyfriend wakes up for work at 7 a.m. I'm already up like 5 or 6. Like I'm like that bitch.
It is a great feeling. Like you get this weird. I might just be the only one. Might be narcissistic, but you do get this. You get a brief moment where you're sitting quietly and you're like, I'm better than a lot of people right now. And then life humbles you. You like stub your toe and like spill your coffee in your lap. You're like, nope, I'm just a moron.
I legit feel like I feel like Snow fucking White. Like I walk to the window and birds just like come to me. Like I'm just like, ah.
But
like,
in reality, that's because your brain's only half awake. You're still technically kind of hallucinating.
No, like a lot of my friends, they're like, I need my morning coffee. I'm like, I like my morning coffee, but I don't need it. Like I wake up and I'm ready to go. You know.
I've gotten into a mode. It's because I'm in such a weird routine. Like this morning, I wake up, get my daughter ready, take her to daycare, then I get coffee, then I get home. And there's some times where I get home and I'm like, oh, whoa, what did I just do? But it's like I'm very good at this routine. Yeah. So yeah, you're saying earlier about like sticking to some kind of routine, but it's like if I'm good at that routine, then it frees me up to work and do other things. If the slightest thing like throws that routine off, like I forgot to bring her lunch and had to go back again, and I was like, I might as well just go back to bed. Like this day is a wash.
Speaking of routines, so you mentioned this before the cameras were rolling.
Mm-hmm.
You said you've recently been sober.
Yeah.
Did you have a drinking issue, or was it just more like cutting it out of your diet?
It was leading up to the half marathon. I've done this before. Like I'll do it, and I drink a moderate amount. Sometimes heavier, but it's like being out with comedy. I would have a drink or 2 or 3 or sometimes more. But leading up to the half marathon, I was like, I'll go. It was the end of August. I was like, I'll just stop. Last day of August, I'll drink, and then first day of September, I'm not going to drink till the marathon. So it was like 2.5 months ish. Mm-hmm. And then I got to the marathon, finished it, and was like, oh, there's nothing in me. It's like, I want to go get a drink. I was able to do all the things I normally do. Like, I think comedy gives you that nice, like, outlet. Like, I can still go to a show at a bar. I'm hanging out with people I know, and I'm not drinking. I'm still having fun.
It's honestly really common. I've talked about this on this podcast before. It's really common to be a non-drinker and still go to shows because so many comedians are like, I was an ex-cocaine addict and I went to AA. So like,
I wish I had a cool story. It was literally because I wanted to run better. Like that was my reasoning.
I thought you were going to have, I was like, okay, now we're getting to something.
No, and like in that, I mean, I do realize like in that, I was like, oh, maybe I did have a little bit of an alcohol abuse problem. And I say this like, I could tonight go home and just be like, that bourbon looks good. I'm going to have some. Like, I haven't set, but now it's kind of cool to have a thing where I'm like, I'm just trying to go another month, every month. Yeah. And it's like, it is fun. I've also been sick during most of the time I haven't drank. Like, I got COVID right away when I gave it up. Then I had like a sinus infection. Then I had this, and I'm like,
I wonder why you're so prone to sickness because you're a fit guy. You work out.
Runners are like super prone to sickness and being around a 2-year-old. I attribute it to that. My one buddy who's a big runner always says that he's like, our immune systems are garbage because you're depleting them, and a lot of times it's in not so great condition. So like you're depleting your body to its max right now while it's 38 degrees out. It's like your body's all confused. It's taking care of like keeping you healthy and regenerating whatever you burned off kind of thing. Yeah, I think it's a little of that.
There can be too much of a good thing. In the past, I've had issues with overtraining. Running, I cannot run. Like I mean I can, but I hate it, so I just kind of don't do it.
Well, that's what's weird. I always hated it until I made it the only thing I did.
Gotcha.
Which is like, I think if you can attribute that to anything, it's probably a good takeaway. Like it was always a punishment. Like I played baseball my whole life. In college, I played a little bit afterwards. I was a catcher. I never ran. Like that wasn't a thing. They didn't give a shit if I could run. And I like all after college, like got into work, and I was doing CrossFit. I was a huge CrossFit nerd for a couple years, which was fun. My wife and I both did it together. We had a great time. Never liked running then. And then it was like literally during the pandemic, I was like, well, gyms are closed. I hate working out at home. Yeah. I'm just going to, and it was almost like we needed a 20-minute break from each other because we were locked down together. I'm like, you go do whatever you got to do. I'm going to go.
That's a healthy way to approach it.
It's been incredible. And she almost like last night she said it. I was like, I don't think I'm going to go run. She's like, you should. Like, and I was like, am I being an asshole? Like, are you noticing it? And I didn't run last night. I just relaxed.
I'm in love with your marriage. Like,
it's pretty awesome.
I'm just hearing about like a little bit about it on the podcast, but I've only heard good things. Like, shout out to your wife if she's listening. Yeah. Like, it sounds like you guys really support each other.
It's a great balance, yeah. And that's why, like I was saying, like I wish she had a thing that I could support more. Like, it's tough to like support teaching. I'm like, there's another thing for your desk.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like fitness stuff. Like there could be fitness stuff, or like I said, piano.
I mean, her thing could. I think it could just be relaxing. She might need to find a way to relax.
Reading.
I'm so good. I think so. She does. She goes in and out of reading. So now she just started in her. I hope I'm not divulging. I'm not giving out too much information, but she just started a long-term job. Is locked in as this teacher for this classroom. So like every night she's got a buttload of work.
Oh God, yeah.
And I think that will fade after like year 2 when things become more routine, like you were talking about before. But it's like now she's doing the annoying work. Yeah. So I'm excited to see when like she does have that free time. Yeah. What she can fill it with. It'll be interesting.
I very briefly worked. I taught for a private school. Okay. And I quit because of the paperwork, because I just knew, like,
unreal.
I knew that it wasn't even, I'm sure it's a lot worse for public school than it was for private school, because I'm only dealing with one student at a time as opposed to a classroom of students. Right. But even that, like, I'm I knew that if that's what it took to be a good employee, I knew that I was not fit for the job.
It's the worst part of every job is doing all that bullshit.
And not only that, but I told...
And you're doing it on top of,
I told them, I was like, does anybody even... I asked them, I was like, does anybody even check this paperwork?
No,
they're like, no, it's just there to cover your ass.
She just discovered the other day, because now everything's like online. So she was filling out progress reports and report cards, and she just realized that there's just a drop down that gives you generic, like, Timmy was good this year, like, kind of thing. And she was like, are you serious? I've been writing out like thoughtful things. And she says it. She's like, I know none of the parents are going to read these. Yeah. But I was like, yeah, but you're doing the honest work. So like there is something in there. You might not see it now, but eventually you're going to be like, all right, I didn't half-ass it. Yeah. But sometimes half-assing it just fucking rules.
Yeah, no, it's just, I don't see... Like if it's for the state, it's like for the New Jersey state or whatever state, like I'm sure most of the states do it. They need like a standard, which makes sense. But if they know, like even if they have the standard, but if they know that barely this stuff gets looked at, you're just wasting time, and you're wasting time that you're not paying people too. Like
it's the same thing if you ever talk to cops. You're like, what's the worst part of your job? Getting shot at? They're like, no, I have to go back and do like 2 hours of paperwork every night about a guy that just ran through an intersection. Like
that actually makes more sense to me though, because like for example, the other day, like I understand why they need to do that. Yeah. Because and maybe there's an argument for the public education that I'm not seeing too why they need to do that. So the other day, I actually had a little car accident. Somebody was crossing the crosswalk. I don't even know whose fault this was, but someone was crossing the crosswalk. I didn't see them, so I slammed my brakes so I didn't kill them. And the guy behind me rear-ended me because I slammed my brakes. So I'm like, I don't know, like, am I at fault because I didn't see the guy walking in time, or are they at fault because they're...
I always forget that, like, because that's these are the things I should know, especially as like an adult and a parent. Yeah. Where it's like, who's at fault? Because they always say it's like, if you rear-end somebody, you're always at fault, I guess, because you should have been more alert.
That's what I think. I think legally they were at fault because they rear-ended me, but I feel like morally it was my fault because I didn't see the person walking. But regardless...
That's the worst, too, because you're stuck in that middle ground where you're like, I just don't want to get screwed over. I was saving a person.
Yes. Like, so the cops came, and there was no damage. Like, no one was injured, no one was damaged. So they were like, listen, if you guys are cool, like we're not going to report this to insurance because you guys are both cool with just like fleeing the scene. But they're like, we technically still have to take the paperwork just in case down the road someone finds they got an injury so that makes sense, because it's like you have to report that stuff. If let's say we both leave that scene like, hey, none of us are hurt, but then all of a sudden in 2 days he's like, oh my god, my elbow.
The cops should have a requirement that you guys have to dance battle it out. Like there's no like legal precedence, like nobody's going to get arrested, but it's like you both have to dance pretty elaborately. And so like if the guy's limping, you're like, you're gonna report that shit in like 2 days, because you do get that like adrenaline rush.
Write that down in your notes. That's a good one.
I think cop dance battle. Yeah, that would save a lot of problems.
But like that makes sense to me. It's like cops need to report that stuff for that reason. Right. The education stuff, like I don't know.
It does. It sucks. I'm just praying that like by the time my daughter's old enough for like college and stuff, that it's not even a thing anymore, or that it's virtually free. Yeah. You know, because it's like I went through college. I'm still paying off student loans.
Oh my God, yes.
I understand that like to get where you want with a job, you need, but it's like, it seems like that is changing. Yeah. And I really hope so, because it's like, I loved college. I played baseball, but it was like, if I didn't play baseball, I probably should have learned a trade. Yeah. And, started my work life earlier. Yeah. I do kick myself for that. Like, I'm a handy guy around the house, but like electricity and plumbing,
You're not big into that stuff.
Well, now that like owning a house, I understand. I'm like, oh, that shit's very important to know. Yeah. And it's like I had to hire he's a fellow comic, Ryan Foster, who's an electrician. I was like, good. Yeah. I was like, hey man, can you come out and hang this fan on this porch? So I redid our entire porch. Yeah. It was like my summer project. I painted, I sanded, it looks beautiful. And the last thing was this fan. And I was like, hey, can you come hang this thing up? I want it to be done right. I don't want it to fall on me and my family. And the whole time, he just went full comic mode. Well, me and my daughter are sitting there watching him do it, and he was just like, yeah, see, this is what a man does. This is how a man works. And I'm
it's funny? Like,
you son of a bitch, I've been sanding for 3 months.
Speaking of like that college mentality or whatever, like, it's funny to me that those types of trades back in the day, I sound so old, were looked down upon as like plumbers or losers.
Well, now
it's like these are smart
technical
people.
Schools, like high schools, like vocational schools are impossible to get into now. That was where like when we were in high school, like I graduated high school in 2004. Yeah. And most of the vocational high school back then was just like they sent bad kids.
Yeah.
Or there was like a kid who was the son of a plumber. His dad was like, trust me, man, you're going to want to just have this business. You'll be, set by the time you're 25.
Dude, they have the best. They make lots of money.
Yeah.
They can fix, they don't have to spend money on fixing shit in their house.
Not having to spend money on your home is
on your
so
house.
incredible.
There's that. There's also the fact that, they can probably create their own schedule in a way because it's
if you get good enough at it, yeah.
You can probably just kind of do freelance work and be like, hey, I'm on vacation this week, but I'll be around next week if you want me to paint your roof or whatever the fuck. I just think it's a shame that they're looked down on as not this elitist mentality of they're shitty pieces of shit.
I think it also not that a lot of people in technical jobs, they almost put it on themselves of being we don't get any respect instead of showing the cool side of what they do.
Yeah.
Now I'll watch landscaping Instagram videos.
YouTube landscaping.
Oh my God, it's incredible. And I'll just get lost in a trance. Or there's a podcast I love. They have a guy on all the time who's a plumber and he talks about the history of plumbing in Philadelphia.
It's fucking interesting.
And you're oh yeah, you're without you, we would be literally walking in our own shit.
Yeah.
I'm talk about that stuff, how you're if all plumbers quit today, we're all fucked.
Yeah.
We're dead in 10 years.
It's funny, there has been recently this I don't know the word for it, but uptick, whatever, like a surge, I guess, of people who want to follow their dream. But if everybody follows their dream, who's gonna do the other shit? Who's gonna make the sandwiches at Wawa? If everyone wants to be a TikTok star,
that's why that's the worst part too. Especially now when you make something that you're very proud of.
Yeah.
And I just put a sketch out with a bunch of friends, and it was fun. It was a great day. The guy who produced our podcast edited it, put it together cool, and it was really fun. And we put it out and we're all talking in a group chat about oh man, it's getting this many likes, this comment. And then you just look at a TikTok of a kid flipping a water bottle that's got 40 million views.
You're
and the kid's sponsored, and you're just oh, come on, man.
I don't care what they say. I can't get down to the TikTok level. I can't do it.
Do you
have a TikTok?
I don't, but I think we have one for our podcast now. Because our reels are fun. It's weird. Everything's shifting to everybody just wants 20 seconds of funny. And it sucks. But then I also am that person where I'm I'm on the toilet. I guess I could watch, 6 reels and it is fun. Or it's but I like it because I'll find new podcasts off of that. If you go off the suggested, you listen to these, here's a reel from this guy. So it sucks now having to try to grow a listener base.
Yeah.
We have to do that stuff.
Yeah. No, lately these days, I've been trying to trim the fat in my life, I guess you could say. Going back to what we were saying before about having issues balancing things, I've been having a lot of trouble balancing all the things I do. So I've been really, this past couple weeks actually, since living here, I've been what can I cut out? What can I cut out of my life? And one thing is I don't care if I'm cutting out potential success. I do not want to spend my time doing things that I hate. If I happen to have enough money to hire a producer who wants to make a TikTok for me, that's fine. But I'm not wasting whatever life I have to live on this planet on doing something I hate just because I might have a chance.
Right.
I feel maybe I'm getting too
No, because then I get that brain sometimes too where I'm if I add up all the hours I've spent just making the artwork to put on Instagram for each episode of our podcast, I'm I could have read 8 books. But then I also get the brain where I was you don't like reading that much.
If I didn't read 8 books, I could have been an Instagram star.
Yeah. Well, that's the good thing is when I was saying we have. I love doing the podcast with Matt Peoples, who I do it with, and the guy Jay, who is our producer. It's a fun mix because it's there are some things I genuinely like doing. I like doing the artwork because it's just funny. I literally just cut and paste people's faces onto things and try to make it funny. It makes me giggle. I do it when I'm sitting on the couch at night. But it's all the other stuff. The guy Jay loves editing and messing with stuff, and Matt's doing some more of putting it. It's almost he's our younger correspondent. We're you take care of the TikTok and YouTube. So we do have a fun team where hopefully that can make it, work faster.
I think having a team probably makes it better too because you can each focus on.
I give you so much credit for doing everything on your own.
I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah. I don't want to do. Like I said, I would like to get to a point where I have a producer who sets up the audio for me and makes clips for the internet and that type of stuff, and I just work on what are the it's funny. Okay, I don't want to say it. I'm going to ask you. from your perspective, what makes you a good podcaster? Like, what do you have to do to be a good podcaster?
I often think I'm a terrible podcaster. I'm trying to do such a good job of not talking over you because this is so self-centered. I was listening to our latest podcast on the way over here because we just put it out this morning. So I always listen through it like throughout my day when it comes out. Just one to make sure, because there's so many times, like I'm sure you get it. You'll be talking, then afterwards you're like, the hell did we just talk about?
Yeah.
And I won't always listen. Sometimes I'm like, I just put it out. And then I wake up, I'm like, oh no, what did we discuss? Like, so I'll listen to that. And all the time I'm talking over my co-host or interjecting. I'm laughing at my own joke. That's the thing I hate the most. I think what makes me a quote unquote okay podcaster is like just being able to sit down and talk about anything. Like,
what I'm getting at here is because like I wanted to say, but I didn't want to just like, I wanted to give you a chance to talk instead of be like, this is my
Yeah.
For me to be a good podcaster, I need to be an interesting person to be around, and I need to have energy. In order to do that, I can't waste all my time like slaving away at the computer and not getting sleep. I need to be able to take care of my health, get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
I need to be able to read. If I want to be a good podcaster, like interviewer, I need to be able to focus on what you're saying, and like instead of like zoning out. So it's like I think that's why I'm getting at this point where I'm like, I can't balance this all out anymore. I really want to like kind of narrow things down and focus on the things that are good for me. So if it's like I want to do podcasting, I got to be a good person so I have something to bring to the table.
Yeah.
So
well,
like
it's
my
also
research
like,
is just living healthy. Like,
yeah, you want to do something that's worth talking about
and
instead of just
reading helps a lot too.
Yeah. I think I do too much of the thing I'll knock myself for in podcasting is like, I heard this on this. Let's talk about it. Instead of just bringing my own thoughts and like, hey, I saw this today. Let's discuss it. I'll be like, did you guys see on,
That's popular though. Like people want to hear that stuff.
But it's sometimes it turns into podcasting about podcasts.
I know what you're talking about.
But if you spend all day listening, like I listen to them all day while I work.
Yeah.
It's the main source of what I'm getting.
Who are some of your dudes? Or chicks?
My go-to listens are Durag and the Deer Tag, who I just said before. Just check them out. That's Naeem and Drew. And if you just want like a wild, outlandish podcast, listen to them. They're amazing. They'll cover every topic. They watch videos and like critique them and make fun of them. Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast, so it's Shane Gillis's podcast, which has been awesome to listen to him from like when it was done in a basement years ago to now it's like one of the most successful podcasts. I know who he is. And it's like following, it's kind of nice because it almost like Matt and I talk about all the time, like how can we make money off this thing or make it a thing? And we're like, oh, we can just follow the formula of the people we enjoy. Like, let's listen to what they did. Yeah. And their whole thing, and this is why I love it, is just like hanging out with people you like and bullshitting. Like,
I think like the reason I like podcasts is because it's just like if I'm just lonely, like because I'm a person who like my mind's always busy. So if I feel lonely, it like feels like I have friends with me.
Oh yeah. I work from home by myself all day and I would go insane. Like, and I love listening to music, but I can only listen to Earth, Wind and Fire so many times while like answering emails. Yeah. But there are times where I'll be listening to a podcast and start typing out what I'm like, cause I hate that I do it, but sometimes in my brain, you're like, you're the third mic on this podcast you're listening to. They just don't hear you. You spend enough time. It's insane. I know it is.
You end up like it's just not everybody likes podcasts or listens to or gets it. Like my boyfriend isn't a huge podcast person. He likes them, but it's not like I'm obsessed with them. Like and to me, it's kind of like I feel like I'm hanging out with people when I'm lonely. Which, by the way, that's actually one of my questions on here. So now that we're like I'm bringing this up, I do actually want to ask you this because I don't know if you would be good at this, but maybe you would. I'm new to this area. Do you have any advice how to make friends? Because I don't know if you're good at making friends. I don't know how to make friends.
I'm not. And I so often say my biggest thing I hate is having to make new friends at 36 years old. But now it's like I'm starting to have to, I'm in a weird lane where it's like I'm making friends with parents of kids that my kid's going to be around. Like, so I have the benefit of like, I take her on a walk and I run into people. And now I'm friendly with the people on my block. Yeah. But like I judge it by this. I would never tell any of them that I do a podcast right now. Like if later on we're hanging out and I'm like, all right, that guy's pretty cool. I'll let him know. Hey, listen to this.
They
you might enjoy
like it.
They probably will, but there's still that thing where I'm like, God, if I say something terrible
And
then
they
I just
hear
see
it,
them on
they're
a
like,
walk.
this is my kid's friend.
Yeah, and I'm on a walk with my daughter being cute, and I'm like, hey, and they're like, I listened to what you said yesterday. I'm like,
I used to have that
joke.
fear because I teach piano lessons, and I have a lot of young students.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't get that wild on here, but I've talked about like sex and stuff like that on here, and drugs and addictions. And I used to be really paranoid about that. Like, oh my God, what if my students' parents hear it? And I've had nothing but support from them, to be honest. Like I've had some reach out to me and be like,
because
hey,
if you're doing it from a place where it's honesty, you're just like, this is a thing. It's a thing everyone thinks about. Sex, drugs, money. It's like, but no one wants to talk about.
It's like, just because it's funny. I get this like feeling around my students' parents that I'm like, I have to be on good behavior.
Right.
But
piano carries that. Like, you don't meet many like, you're never just like, yo, who's that lady with the mohawk and like, and the studded belt? You're like actually a classical pianist.
But not only that, okay, here's the thing. I used to get fear like around my students' parents and be like, I have to be on good behavior, like, because this is serious. I finally started realizing that they felt the same around me. Like they'd be like, this is the piano teacher. We got to report good stuff. And like, if everyone can just like let their guard down and be like, yeah, like we have kids, but like we all think about sex and, you know, whatever.
You all shut your brains off at some point. You don't think about work and your kid all day. It's like,
how did your kids get here? Like, you know
right. You think about drugs. You're just like, oh, what is that new thing everyone's talking about?
Yeah, like I'm sure some of my parents, like, my kids' parents smoke weed or
that's been one of the funnest things as an adult is when people start to like peel back their shield. Like, so we have a neighbor who, she's awesome, super life of the party, and like the one day she was just like, if you need anything, I got you. I'm like, okay. She's like, no, seriously, like anything. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's why you rule. Like, you're cool. And it's like, I'm very slow sometimes to outside of comedy and everything. So it's like, it's funny. Like, if all that this parent would have to do is just listen to 2 podcasts and they're like, I can understand everything about John now.
Yeah.
But so I don't know, making friends thing is weird because I still have like, I moved away to Harrisburg. My wife and I both moved out there. So for like the first couple months, we were the only people we knew out there were each other. And some people I knew from work, but it wasn't like, I don't love hanging out with people I work with kind of thing. So I didn't want to like become best friends with them. We did, like I said before, we were CrossFit nerds. So we ended up becoming good friends with people from the CrossFit gym because that's a big community type thing. So much so it's like, it's so funny because we would...
Like, what do you... Like, how do you break the boundary? Like, do I actually go up to a person and be like, hey, want to go on a date? Like, not a date, but like, do I make like friend dates?
It
like,
is weird. Like, being an adult, you do have to figure out how do you do that? Like, I'm the worst example of it because... I just say my newest best friend is my co-host of this podcast. He's 10 years younger than me, and we met at an open mic. Like, we just kept going to the same open mic. So most of I think, like, we do have the benefit of having comedy.
But here's the thing. I'm a woman, and there's not a ton of female comics.
Right.
So, which is not to say I can't be friends
with
a guy. But
there's a lot. I'm just kidding. There's 2. No, I'm just kidding.
Not to say I can't be friends with guys. I do have...
No, it's an interesting barrier.
Yeah, like, I have a lot of guy friends, but I'm not going to, like, go out for drinks one-on-one with a guy friend.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Not that... I mean, I could, like, during the day, maybe. Like we can go out for a drink in the park at, like, 12 o'clock. But I'm not going to, like... You know, like, you're married. Like, I have a boyfriend. You're married. Like, we're not going to be like best buds. Like,
no, it is.
So it's like, it's hard.
That's almost, you do just kind of have to accept that. Yeah. Actually, I found the loophole. We are friends with a bunch of lesbian couples. So like, one of our best friends is a lesbian couple, and like, they introduced us to a couple more. So like, if we go to one of their parties or something, for me, it's the best of both worlds because it's like I get to hang out with buds and women. Yeah. So it's like, it is. I've been trying to write a bit about this, how just like dudes and lesbians need to just unite as the most powerful force this earth has ever seen. Yeah. Because we love all the same things. Yeah. We're just trying to have a good time, and also boobs are cool. You're like, hey.
So you get like a little bit of everything. No,
that's a loophole, I could say. So that could,
I need
the
to
flip
have,
side,
like, gay
get male gay friends.
Yeah.
Also fun having male gay friends. My wife's best friend, gay to him, his husbands are awesome. But like, it's awesome. Like, you do get to see like a different perspective, and it's not like you're like, oh, I'm flirting with this person of the opposite sex, but you're like, it's more than just like that. Because there's so many times where I hate having to say, like, my wife's like, I'm not friends with your friends. I'm like, well, you kind of are. She's like, well, I'm friendly. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like if they're around, it's
same thing with like her friends. Like, I'd say her close friends from like high school, I'm friends with at this point. We go to, we go holiday parties at each other's houses together, but it's like people she meets now, I'm still just her husband. Like, it's not like, that's my friend John.
No, I want like 3 girlfriends. Like, I really want, like,
Yeah.
because I
You
don't.
gals need that.
I
need my dudes too. And
Yeah.
that sounds weird to put it that way, but it is like.
Do you want to know really why I need it? I actually am kind of a loner, so I don't mind not having that many girlfriends.
Yeah.
But if I get married, who's going to be on, like, who's going to be, I just realized that recently. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Like, my boyfriend has, if we get married, he has so many friends.
That's the thing.
And I'm going to look like I'm going to have a male maid of honor.
You have no sisters?
I have a sister.
So
So
one
that
sister
knocks
can.
one out.
I
But,
looked
like,
out. My wife is one of 5 girls. So,
Okay, so
she
she-
had all of her
So
bridesmaids.
she just looks like she's
set.
got it going on just by nature. See, okay, I have
She
my
just
sister.
had to pick, like, she had a tough time because she was like, I have to have my sisters. And she's
Yeah.
like, now I have to pick 3 of my friends.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, I sent a message to an entire group chat of my friends from high school and was like, you guys are my groomsmen. And then just sent another one to my cousin
Yeah.
who's not in it, who's like my best friend. I was like, you're my groomsman.
I just need 2 girlfriends. So if anybody's listening
Put
to
it
this
out into the world. I'm realizing
if anybody
that.
like I'm gonna say a prayer right now
Yeah.
to the universe, to God. Please send me 2 girlfriends just for my wedding, and then when the wedding's over, they can perish. But they,
You're like, as
they
soon
can-
as I do, I don't need them anymore.
no, I'm kidding. I'm actually being serious. I would like some, because it's hard as a woman too. Does your wife have issues with women? Like do they get catty and competitive?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I feel like it's hard. Like, dudes are so. I mean, okay, dudes sometimes do get in conflicts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like for the most part, dudes are so easy around each other,
Yeah.
and women can have like passive aggressive, subtle digs. Like, I've always had a history of having very close girlfriends that at some point it just fell apart because like
yeah,
it
see,
blew-
I've never had like a guy friend of mine where I'm just like, yeah, man, we just fizzled out. Like,
Yeah, no,
we didn't see eye to eye on something, and we never
I feel
talked
like dudes
again.
are typically pretty like chill, and then like years could go by and they could be like, yo, dude, what's
So
up?
you just need a girl with a dude brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lesbian. I'm telling you, they're the best.
That's so true. Actually, now that you say
I
that,
want to do the infomercial for
because,
lesbians.
okay, there's a female comic, Rachel Feinstein.
Yes.
Feinstein.
Yeah.
She kind of has like a dude vibe about
Yeah.
her, and her best friend is a lesbian comic, and
Yeah.
it's magic.
It's yin and yang.
Yeah. So you're 100% correct. I probably just need like.
I'd say too, just start a podcast with a girl. That like
Okay.
with a like.
I just need like a butch lesbian.
There it is.
friend.
So the universe, get her a real softball coach.
Get me. And that's kind of how it is
We
with
need a Jeep.
Rachel.
We need
Rachel
cargo
and,
shorts.
Kirkson, Jessica Kirkson.
Oh yeah.
They're such a great duo, and
Yeah.
like she's got to be butch, because if she's too attractive, I might like I
Then
might
it's
find
catty.
no, not catty. I might be attracted to her.
There you go.
Because so like I don't want to be attracted to her. So I just
Get right to that line.
Get right to
not
that
too hot, but not too ugly.
yeah.
So a good in between softball coach,
Yeah,
like a
I need,
D2.
I need like a what is it, like Rosie O'Donnell? Oh, I would love Roseanne. She would be such a good friend for me.
Yeah. Yeah, non-Ambien Roseanne, you're
Yeah.
good. Don't give her any pills, you're set.
Yeah. Okay, so we're reaching pretty close to the hour mark.
okay.
I usually finish in about an hour. So let me see if I have any more questions. I do have 2 more questions for you. They're
Yeah.
both intense, so I'm just gonna pick one.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go with. This one's a little too much, but I guess it's good. It's a little too much, but it's good to end the podcast, I suppose. The meaning of life. Do you? I know this is this is a question that cannot really be
Yeah.
answered. But do you, as of now, have an evolving?
Yeah, mine changes every it's
year.
like they say your palate changes like every 7 years, right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't like raspberries. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, raspberries rule.
Yeah.
Where
are you at right now? Like, where are we at?
So my whole thing, me in life is like maintain happiness. That's how I look at it. Whatever, maintain happiness without it being diminishing to others kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like, so right now I am, like you said in the beginning, I'm peak happiness. I'm a very happy person to the point where like, if it's cloudy and I'm a little bummy, I'm like, oh man, being depressed sucks. And you're like, oh no, it's just today kind of sucks. But I'm happy because it's like, I'm at the peak of like hard work, like working really hard in my 20s work wise to make my 30s easier.
Yeah.
Like I used to work a job where I was on call 24/7. I think never get to go on vacations. My wife and I, at the time we were dating, if we went out to dinner, like we'd have to take 2 separate cars, and a lot of times I'd have to leave.
Yeah.
But it was a great job, but I was like miserable.
Yeah.
I now work a great job. I love my job. It's a lot less responsibility, a lot less reward, but it gives me time to hang out with my daughter, hang out with my wife, follow dreams of comedy and podcasting. So it's like right now I'm very happy.
Okay.
And it's a constant, like, I keep reassessing. I'm like, all right, there's always going to be a bump in the road. Like, what can you do to get out ahead of it? Like, my dad passed away right after my daughter was born. So it was like a weird balance. I was like, oh, this is the happiest I've ever been to the saddest.
Gotcha.
And that kind of taught me, it's like, even the worst, it's like, it literally just came off of the tail of the happiest thing you ever did. So it is just finding that balance of like, how can I make today, like when I lay down at night, am I happy with how everything went today?
Gotcha.
6 times out of 10, I might be happy. Those 4 might suck, but it's like focusing on the like, all right, well, you can change that. Like what
reevaluating,
can you do?
Like get mental checklist.
Right.
Of like,
It's
what
taking,
can I do better?
I have to take the responsibility of like, things didn't go how I wanted to today. What can I do tomorrow to make things go the way I wanted?
Yeah.
And it's routine, or it's saying fuck it to a routine. Like, it's always a constant, like.
Do you have like a spiritual, do you believe in anything?
So I was raised Catholic, went to a Christian college. I went there mostly because of baseball, but like I had to take theology courses every semester. I appreciate like religious teachings. I hate religion.
Okay.
So I was always in that thing. And it's not like nothing ever happened to me to make me be like, oh, this is terrible. I don't think you need religion to believe in something bigger.
Okay.
I also at the same time have no fucking clue what that something bigger is, which nobody does.
So you believe in something bigger, but you don't really
there's something beyond us. Like there's a reason why stuff is awesome. Like something put things in line to make that thing awesome for you. Like having a daughter, it's so fun. I get to play all the time and I'm like, somebody sculpted this thing. Now it's like up to me to make sure that I don't
that thing doesn't
make
die.
this thing suck. It's like a constant battle between like, are you breathing and are you laughing? Like let's do those two things. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, so religion's weird. Like when my dad passed too, like I immediately was just like, there's no God. And I didn't mean that in like, oh my God, there's no God way. I was like, there's no God. Like that's a whole other podcast we can go into. But like, he led a crazy, like great life, great dude, did a couple bad things, paid his price for it, came back, and then like was doing well and then died. Yeah. So you're like, I'm like, if there's a God, why, like we always talk about retribution, why wasn't it there? But it wasn't me like cursing the heavens. I was just like, no, now you got to figure out what your meaning is.
God.
It could one day be religion. I don't know. I'm not writing it off. Like I could.
Yeah, I think the meaning of life is ever evolving. Like there's people who go from atheist to believing religion back to atheist.
Yeah.
And I think that's totally normal.
Well, people's meaning of life varies from like person to person too, where like they always say, but it's like once I had a kid, I was like, oh shit, like I think I was put on this earth to be a dad. But I could totally see if I never have kids, be like, I was put on this earth to entertain people more or do something like that. It's like I can still do all those things.
Sometimes
so
I'm like
cool.
really sometimes my mind is really like heavy and like our purpose is to be better and to do better. Like you said, like wake up and did I do well today? Am I happy today? But then like that's typically what I believe in. But then every now and then my mind is like, maybe that's all just constructed and it's all just totally random. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? I choose to believe that the purpose of life is to do better. I choose that just because it's healthier for my mindset. But my mind does sometimes go off into like, maybe that's just something we create to make it less... to make it more tolerable.
Well, I think you could. It's a lot of looking at like I could spend my time thinking about the afterlife or thinking about this. It's like, but then I just wasted 4 hours when I could have done 4 hours to make myself a better me, or I could have rested. Like that. Now that we come full circle, the thing I am not good at is maintaining a healthy sleep schedule. Oh. And that kicks me in the ass. You wanted something awesome. You were like intravenous drugs.
I want to know like heroin. Like,
like you killed a guy on the way here. I'm like, no, I don't sleep good.
I remember at I met him at a roast battle in North Jersey. So it's like a funny coincidence that he lives really close to me now. Or I live really close to him because he was here first.
I own South Jersey.
I remember they were fucking with you, the judges. They were like, just quit comedy. They're like, you're handsome. They're like, comedy is for ugly guys who need to develop a personality to get laid. You're already handsome. Fuck off. We don't want you to be funny. Go kill yourself. Like they were just very...
It's always fun getting that reaction from somebody and then eventually becoming friends with that person. Yeah. And then they're just like, oh, you're okay person. Because there's it's a stigma, if you want. Like, an attractive person is a shitty ass person.
Yeah.
That's what everyone, and I think it too when I see them, like, that person's, they're probably empty and shallow. And then you're like, no, that person's a doctorate and, is like, donates their time to the needy and stuff. Yeah. But so that was like why I came up with the name Handsome Idiots for the podcast, and it is something we just cringe every time. I'm like, God, it's fucking stupid. But Matt is another, like, he's a handsome guy, and every time he and I would get brought up at open mics, they'd be like, give it up for your next comic, Handsome John. In Harrisburg, they used to just introduce me as Handsome John. And I was like, guys, I'm a Harrisburg 6. Like, this is, I'm just doing okay here.
Like you probably to a certain degree kind of get annoyed with this stigma.
So it's funny because then it's always like, well, just gonna come up, talk about drinking beers and doing cool guy things. And I'm like, I'm a dad and it scares me. And everyone's like, wait, what? Like, so it is fun to like play off of that. Like,
so you have to like intentionally make yourself ugly or like don't shave. Like.
Well, no, it's like, no, if people tell you you're an attractive person, lean into that, but also show them that you're like, oh, I also have really in-depth thoughts, or I'm funny. Like, so it's such a vain topic to even discuss. Like, you're like, but you're like, I don't know. People take pride in themselves sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes people don't. And some of my best friends don't, and I still love them. And some of them are Adonises, and I'm like, and you're a good person. Like,
looks don't mean anything. Like, because you can see someone who's conventionally attractive or beautiful and get to know them and find they're a piece of shit. You can see someone who's conventionally beautiful and find out they're fucking awesome. Yeah. The one that comes to my mind for some reason is not Dolly Parton. Yeah. She's like, I don't want to say, like, when I say conventionally beautiful, that's very outdated, but she's like very fake looking. Like, she's got breast implants and like the whole 9 yards, like the whole everything. Like, from just looking at her, you would assume she was shallow. Yeah. Like, you're like, oh, this shallow, dumb bitch. But if you like listen to her in an interview, she is the sweetest, kindest.
And then you remember, she also has one of the best voices like of all time. Like,
she's just like such a doll. You know what I mean? Like, literally and figuratively, she's like a doll. But then you can meet someone who's like that, like with breast implants and all dolled up, and who's a piece of shit
in their brain. That's my biggest thing is when somebody's just like, they put all their focus into being a really appealing shell, and then inside they're just like, I don't know anything. You're like, come on, just like at least turn on the news, something.
Yeah, no. When I was like my quote unquote most attractive, like, I get it depends. It's all perspective. But I remember when I was like 25, I was like really into like I had an eating disorder. Like,
that's the thing.
Like, I was like too skinny. But I got like attention from other women, like like, it's funny. Men were the one who were like, you need to gain 10 pounds. But women were like, how did you do it? Like, what's your secret?
Oh, and there's so much of that.
Maybe that's
where
how
like,
I make friends. Just like
dudes are like, I'm getting jacked for girls. It's like, guys are just getting in shape so other dudes won't be like, look at this fucking pussy. Like,
but like, it's funny, like thinking back to that, like it's funny, like, how do I make friends? Just have an eating disorder. Like, I'll have women flocking to me. I got all this attention from like women. They thought I was so cool. But on the inside, I was like the most miserable I'd ever been because I was hungry all the time.
Right.
Like, so looks really only go so far.
It's I'll say, like, being a handsome dude can just get you a good tea time at a golf course. Maybe that's about it. I have golf course hair and cul-de-sac suburban face, and I know that. I'm like,
if you were a musician, you would have made out well.
I don't even
comedy,
know.
It's like I think comedy is one of those sports or artist activities that your looks, like, it's like it only comes down to how funny you are.
Well, and it's fun in comedy too, because it's like, as soon as you step on stage, before you open your mouth, people are already starting to judge their opinion on what you're doing, and it's like, it's fun to like flip that on them somehow. So it's if you can.
Like,
have fun with
I've seen some male comedians that, like, just by looking at them, they were just like fat slobs, like they were disgusting. Like, as a woman, I would never. And then after like seeing their stage presence, I'm like, dude, you rock. Like, what the fuck?
It's incredible. A couple of, and I won't name names because I love them too much. But like, dudes I know that are slobs, they don't give a shit about their life, crushing comedy, and then I'm just like, that's why you have beautiful women talk to you. You're a hilarious person, and let that be a lesson to everyone. It's like, you can just be a hilarious person and people will love you for that. Like, or they might hate you for it. I don't know. Yeah. Again, I'm on the fence about everything.
All right, so we're just about hitting time here today. So just to recap, this is the Pranzata Podcast, episode 66. If you are, I'm pretty sure. If you're new, don't forget to hit subscribe, tell them where they can find you if they're from South Jersey or if they want to see you on Instagram or whatever.
The best bet is follow me on Montague Comedy on Instagram. It's Montague, Montague. Comedy. My name is definitely pronounced wrong, but it's what I was told to say.
I'll put his info down below, like a link to his Instagram. So
we got High Note Humor at the Tap Room in Haddon Township. Open mic. So we're all over the place. It's usually every other Wednesday. Hopefully in the new year we're going to be back to every Wednesday. Yeah. It's a great open mic. It's a fun room to come try stuff out. It's outside the city. You can have fun. Yeah. I used to have a show on Instagram called Hacks Comedy Goff. You can check that out. I just, during the pandemic, was like, I like comedy, can't do it anywhere. I like golf. They're letting us do that. So I went out and golfed with a bunch of comics, and it was fun. So check that out. And Handsome Idiots Podcast. We're starting to really push and put more work into it, and like we're happy, we're excited about it. So yeah, check it out. And you might like it, you might not.
That's it. Pranzata Podcast. I hope you guys
Pranzata Podcast. Definitely.
Fuck yeah.
That's my biggest plug.
All right. Have a good night, guys. Bye.